Hey Salvador, how's it going, man?
Hi, Farhan, how are you?
Good, good. I'm in a car right now. Getting internet was kind of hellish. Google Hangouts was being very difficult. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Yeah, things are great. I mean, just traveling. The sun's in my face. I might actually do this thing uh, to reduce the sun glare. But now half of my face is in the dark. Let me just do this thing, actually. It's gonna be a little bit easier. But yeah, things are great. I think everything's going well. How's the weather down there?
Right now it's cloudy.
Right now it's cloudy over there.
Yes.
Here, as you can tell, it's very sunny.
Yes, I
Sun's
see.
in my face. Yeah. But any big plans this weekend, or did you do anything interesting or fun yesterday and today?
Today is presidential elections here in Honduras.
Oh, really?
Yes, and all the people is going to vote and something like that. So that is a great event for democracy in Honduras.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you go to vote in the morning?
Yes.
Nice, nice. And who do you think's gonna win? The guy you voted for, or I guess the person you voted for?
I hope that, but really, I don't know who can
Uh-huh.
win. It is very tight. Everything is close.
Yeah, there was a guy who was named Senor Celaya, I think, from Honduras, right?
Yes, he is the ex-president.
He's the ex-president. Okay. So is he running this time also, or he's not in the race?
No, in Honduras, a president period is just for 4 years, and he
And
has. Do you remember the? I don't know how to say golpe de estado, but it was a
golpe de Estado, yeah, the state coup. Uh-huh.
state coup. Well, that was
Uh-huh.
a complicated time for the country. So he was the president,
Mm-hmm.
and now his wife is trying to reach the president.
Mm-hmm.
Want to be a president.
So most people probably don't like her, right?
That's right.
Yeah. It's always funny for me, Salvador.
Bless you.
Excuse me. It's
Bless you.
always funny for me when I see, Salvador, that these family members in a lot of these societies, the family members really strive to be the leader. Like I think in Argentina, they've had two presidents and they've had two wives of presidents become president also. You know, something family politics is. I'm sure it exists in most countries of the world, but I've noticed like the popularity in Latin America especially, and also in India. I've seen a lot of family related kind of governments that have come to power. So it's kind of frustrating for me, I see, because it just you're limiting the power, right? The power is still in the hands of the very strong, very wealthy families, and it's not getting distributed to the general population, other good candidates, for example.
Yes, that's right.
So it should be interesting then. Do you think they're going to have the results by the end of the week, or will it be sooner? Do you know?
Well, there's an organization that we call Tribunal Superior Electoral,
Mm-hmm.
and according to them, we will have results for about 8 or 7 p.m. the first result.
Oh, really? So just later tonight.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So
That should be great.
yes, I hope that everything um, is going in peace. It's in here in Honduras for the State Cup was a I don't know how to say, but difficult times
Mm-hmm.
because politics sometimes is a passion for the people,
Mm-hmm.
so have to be with careful or handle it with careful everything just to be uh, right and be okay.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Honduran politics are, I mean, I know very little about Central America, so this might sound very ignorant, but I think there used to be violent elections in the past, where the military sometimes came in or the police came in, and it wasn't elections were not really a demonstration of democracy.
Uh,
They became a demonstration of just power, force. Who has the bigger guns? Who has the bigger weapon to stop the other candidate, Um, and
so,
if we have passed that time in history, if we can actually say, yes, we are now peacefully electing our politicians, that's a big step forward for the country.
yes, the problem right now is, Farhan, let me try to explain.
Sure.
We have two big parties.
Uh-huh. Parties, exactly.
Uh,
Partidos, right?
yes, we have
Partidos, huh?
two big parties, and one of them was the party of Mel Zelaya, that was the president.
Uh-huh.
And when the State Cup happened, that party has divided. Um, People who be agree with Zelaya and others don't like Zelaya. So that put a lot of pressure on the country, social pressure on the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the other force, the Partido Nacional. Um, but it is the actual party of the government. He had the officially,
Mm-hmm.
and they are trying to reach again the president with other candidates,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Candidates.
candidates,
Candidates. Uh-huh.
that have a lot of um, corruption advice or something like that. I don't know how to say it, but
Uh-huh. Corruption. You can say corruption, yeah.
okay. According to the people, he is a corrupt candidate, and so
Corrupt candidate. Uh-huh.
and we have a third party and this time, or big party that we call PAC. PAC. Let me try to write it down.
Sure.
PAC. That is Partido Anti Anticorrupción.
The
That
party of
is
anti, the party of anti-corruption, I see. Yes.
yes. That is a party who is lead by journalists.
Uh-huh.
So that is my candidate. Do you know? I am tired of the same um, politicians that we have.
Yeah, the same politicians that are just, doing the same amount of, I mean, it's really like sad, right? When you see that the country, the progress is not happening, even though there are so many, these people like Manuel Zelaya and his family, like the politicians and the political power is just almost like always in the hands of these few people. They have all the money, they have all the strength, they have all the power, right? And nothing is reaching the people, And in India, you can see the same situation. We have one family, we have, two or three huge family dynasties. They're like royalty, like
Um,
they're treated like kings. They're not really considered to be normal citizens, If they need anything, they get it first. If the politicians have any problems, they always they always support their party. It's not about the good of the country, it's about the good of their party, and more importantly, the good of their power. As long as they can remain in power, it doesn't matter if they have to kill people, fix elections, uh, bribe the military, whatever it takes. They need the power, and they will keep the power as long as they want. You know, so really sad, man. I mean, it makes me sad to see that it also affected other places, but we can be hopeful that maybe today will be a new day in the history of Honduras.
everybody hoping that.
The same way, right? Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's great to see that, Salvador. Let's get started, Salvador, actually. Thank you for your patience as I tried to start this class as well. I really appreciate that. I was just wanting to begin. So, Today, this is actually the first pronunciation class that I'm teaching on Colingo. So you're in a special position now to be the person that can offer me the best feedback. Hey, Farhan, you didn't do this well. You need to work on this, you know. So this is going to be really good. And today, it's actually a beginner's level pronunciation class. So we're going to spend some time looking to see. I think maybe as I do more of these classes, I'll have a better idea of, okay, Salvador is at this level or Heidi is at this level, you know. I'll be able to fix these lessons. But we are talking about the invisible Y. Okay, so the invisible Y sound in words like regular. Okay, when we write the word regular in English, right? And for people who may not know, you know, regular is, if you pronounce it in the way that we would see it in Spanish, it would be regular, right? Regular. There, it's not regular that we say in English. There's that invisible Y between the G and the U, right? Regular, 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 right? So why do we have that invisible Y when we pronounce words in English? I probably would not be able to tell you the reason because I don't know the reason myself, but we do have many words like this that follow where we have this invisible Y sound that follows certain spelling and certain situations. So one of those is when we are looking at that a word that begins with U also has an invisible Y, right? So for example, the word united, right? United. When we look at it and we look at it like this, spelling it just by reciting it how it looks, we would say united. You know, I mean, it makes sense. United. Like in Spanish, it'd be united. But it's united. So it's pronounced as if you have a Y at the beginning, right? United. So there are some words like that. So the first category of words like this are the words that we just looked at. So they are words such as when we have a U at the beginning of a word, right? United, use, university, right? University, we also have words like usually, right? Usually, YU, right? Usually. And then we also encounter the same example with the words that have a U that is after the word, after the letter N or after the letter L, right? If the U is not stressed in these situations. So for example, January, right? January, the U comes right after the N. So January, we have the U is not stressed in the sound, right? It's just there as just a normal example. It's not being stressed, it's just an unstressed vowel, right? So January, we have the same situation. It's following an N, right? It's following an N. So we have the NU, so January. And then also for the word, for example, volume, right? Volume. We have that invisible Y, so it's volume, the way we pronounce it, right? So it's a little bit of a mind game when we are playing, when we are thinking about the reasons as to why we have, you know, these ideas, or why we have these types of pronunciation. Do you have any questions so far on this, Salvador? Actually, these examples that we looked at.
No, I understand.
Makes sense? Okay. So the first category we saw was when we have a word that begins with U, right? Could you give me an example, Salvador, of another word that begins with U, and how would you pronounce it?
Unicorn?
Yeah, why not, right? Unicorn, right? So Y has that Y sound. Unicorn, right? Fantastic. Or university, right? What about another word where that has an L or an N immediately before the letter U? So we looked at volume, January. What's another one of those words where you have an L or an N plus a U?
Hmm.
This one might be tough. If you have a little bit of trouble thinking about it, I can just give you a word. I'll type the word and I'll ask you to pronounce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a little better.
It's gonna be better? Okay. So let's do it with this then. What about this word right here?
Value.
Yeah, value, right? Fantastic. So it has the Y, it has a UE. Value, right? Value, right? Fantastic. And then the third category is actually kind of complicated, right? It's if we have a U that is after any of these letters, okay? So I'm going to type down the letters. They're B, M, F, C, C or K, G or H, right? If you have a situation that involves a bunch of these letters, then you're going to have the U is going to have that invisible Y sound. So the letters are, once more, let's take a look. We have, one second, P, B, P or B or M, and then we also have letters like F, C or K, right? And then G, right? And then we also have H. So if the letter U follows these letters and there happens to be a vowel that is and the vowel before that U is stressed. Okay, so this is how it's going to happen, right? I know it's a little bit more complicated. So let's say that we have a word that has a vowel, right? Some word has a vowel, so there's a vowel plus, okay, so this vowel needs to be, the first vowel in the word needs to be a stressed vowel, right? So we have a stressed vowel, and then we have any of these letters, right? And then U, right? In this example, in these types of scenarios, the U will have an invisible Y, right? So let's think about it this way. One word like this is actually the word regular, right? So we have one vowel, we have the vowel E, right? And then we have G, the letter G, right? And then we have the letter U. So it's regular, right? Regular. So that's how it works. We have the invisible Y sound, regu, and then we have the lur at the end, right? And that's because that first vowel, that E, is stressed, right? Now, I don't actually know what makes the E stressed in this example versus not stressed, but if I think of other examples that use this particular type of scenario, right? For example, other words that have the the letters in front of before the P or before the U are if maybe P. So for example, the word popular, right? Popular. Once again, you have another vowel at the beginning of the word, then you have a letter from this list of letters, and then you have the letter U. So popular, right? That U has that Y sound, right? Any questions about this rule, Salvador?
Um, no, but maybe I will need more
More
examples.
examples of that? Yeah, sure thing. Because it's a three-part formula, right? It really is
Yes.
a three-part formula. So we have the some vowel that's stressed, then a list of these special letters, and then we have the letter U after that, right? So let's say, for example, if we have the word music, right? Music, once again, we have, hmm, but music doesn't really have the letter U, or it doesn't have another vowel in front of U. So I don't know why they gave us that example. Let's forget about that one. I think that one might be a mistake. How would you pronounce this word, Salvador? I'll give you an example of this word right here. How would you pronounce that one?
Future.
Future, right? So in this example, we see that U, that first U, right, is a stressed vowel, and then we have some other letter. So in this example, the letter is actually T, so I don't know why they included this one. Hmm. So, okay, I forgot one part of that rule, Salvador. My apologies. If there is no letter before, if there is no vowel before the U, that will also be an example when we have an invisible Y sound, right? So for example, we saw that with music, right? Music, we have one of these letters, M, and we have no vowel before the U. It's just M and then U, right? Or if it was just P and then U, or N and then U. Any of those situations, we would have the invisible Y sound, right? For future, I'm not exactly sure because it's the T is there, and T is not one of these special words, so we'll forget about that one. Um, Let me give you another example. Salvador, this one might help you. This word is, let's see, I'm gonna think of a good one. Uh, where we have these sentences. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to think. No, that one doesn't work either. Okay. I'm gonna have to come back to you on that one, Salvador. I can't think of any other examples at the moment, but I do. You did a good job with future, right? Um, there might be other ones that we might find maybe in the article or something like that. We can come back to it.
Okay.
Last but not least, Salvador, I wanted to go over a few other ones, right? So when we have a sound that has a EAU in the middle of the word, right? That also has that invisible Y, right? So we have that, for example, beautiful, right? Beautiful. We have even though there's a U, the E and the A combine to make a Y sound, right? Beautiful. So it sounds like we're saying beautiful. BYUTIFUL, right? That's the pronunciation. Um, I'm going to ask you to pronounce this word, Salvador. How do you pronounce this word?
Um, bureaucracy.
Uh-huh. So you had the first one. The first part was actually pretty good. The last part, which doesn't involve the invisible Y, was where you made a little mistake. So it's actually, we pronounce it as, so remember with beautiful, it was beautiful. Here we say bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah, bureaucracy, right? So we have that EA sound, right? See that EA sound? Even though the EA is coming after the letter U, right? The way we pronounce it is, oh, I'm sorry, we have the EAU construction here, right? So it's the Y, the U has that Y sound, bureaucracy, right? Bureaucracy. So yeah, exactly, right? That's how we would maybe look at it from a phonetic sense, yeah? Bureaucracy, right? Fantastic. And then
Bureaucracy.
and then I also wanted to ask you, what about this one? So remember when I forgot the word where I was trying to remember? This is one word that would fit that example.
Peculiar.
Uh-huh. Get it. Try to get that invisible Y in there one more time, Salvador.
Uh, peculiar.
Uh-huh. Close. Peculiar.
Peculiar.
Peculiar. Yeah, because really when we think about it like this, it's being pronounced like this. Peculiar. Peculiar. Right? So,
Let me. I want to ask him something.
yeah, yeah.
The syllable that is changing the sound is the syllable that is before the L or M or the letters that we send P,
Uh-huh.
B, N, F. That is the syllable that is changing the sounds, right?
Um, I
For
think,
example,
yeah.
in peculiar, you changing Q,
Mm-hmm.
P. The first one syllable is P, but the second one is culiar
Mm-hmm.
or Q-liar.
Mm-hmm.
So you are changing, or the word is changing in the second or on the syllable after the L.
I think you're on the right track. I think you're definitely on the right track. I think it might be easier to think about it as the syllable that the U is in is the syllable that is changed, right? So peculiar,
Okay.
right? So there are four syllables, peculiar,
Yes.
right? So the second one in this case is the one that has the U, right?
Okay.
So pecu, before we saw bureaucracy, right? So it had that BIU, or we could have even written it as BYU. bureaucracy, right? So it was that same syllable that had the U that joined with an invisible Y.
Okay, and the way Farham in well, just in Spanish, not I don't know in another language.
Uh-huh.
It's like this. You.
Ah, wow.
So
Okay. So,
when you write it, for example, view for me is a little confusing. It's more simple if you say view in this
oh,
way.
okay. Sounds good. That's really good for me to know, actually. View, yeah. Because I think maybe this would be Baju or Bayou,
For
right?
me, that is by you.
Bayou, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that. View. Okay, that makes sense. Awesome. I'll be able to use that in my next class if I have something like this. Yeah.
But I don't know if that wanna work for example, um, Arabic
The other
speak.
languages.
I don't
Yeah.
know if that is the same, but in Spanish.
Yeah. In Spanish, IU, yeah, no, absolutely. And really, I love learning more about transliteration, right? So this what we're doing now when we write bureaucracy, right? This is an example, bureaucracy. This is an example of what we call transliteration in English, right? So we have examples of Spanglish all the time in the United States, right? Here in California, a lot of students say, for example, fui a la tienda fui a la tienda y no pude comprar los shoes. You know, a lot of the children like, mamá, quiero algunos soft drinks. You know, like they just combine Spanish and English all the time. And anywhere I go, like right now, my friends we're inside a restaurant. Anytime we go anywhere, right, you can hear people speaking Spanglish. And you see the older people, they're speaking Spanish, very formal, like always talking to their kids in Spanish. I was at the Subway restaurant yesterday, and the person was asking. I walked in, and because I mean, I look Indian, I don't look Spanish. They didn't say anything to me. Like they said, they started in English. As soon as a family came in that was and she said she's just started with buenas noches, cómo están ustedes, and the kid was like, yo quiero el turkey, mamá, yo quiero el turkey, like I didn't say pavo, no, yo quiero el turkey, so it was really nice to see that there's so much diversity like that here, but
So you say that transliteration.
transliteration, yeah, transliteration is when I write, for example, how are you, how are you, you know this is transliteration.
Okay.
Yeah, so when we are writing the way we pronounce something. Yeah. So in any case, Salvador, that actually brings me to some examples, right? So I'm going to ask you if you could pronounce some of these words, and then I will help you with the pronunciation. Remember, we're looking at the invisible Y, right? And the beauty of the invisible Y in this particular example is that the syllable, you helped me figure that out. The syllable that has the U is the one that is changing, right?
But
So the syllable
para
that has the U is the one that's changing.
para you for the sound you.
Ah, how are you?
No. I write in that down that because you say how are you, but you write it with a H, and
Oh,
in Spanish H don't have any sound, so
you're
you
right.
say H like English. Uh, how are you?
Exactly. Exactly. How are you? Yeah. And another really interesting thing I saw was, for example, I don't know if it's Central American versus Spain Spanish, but I saw, for example, I learned this word as llave, right? Llave, ¿dónde están las llaves? But people here they say in llave, dame las llaves, or they say, for example, yo quiero pero no lo pude hacer, like I don't know, like Mexican people sometimes the way they speak, it's so fluid. It's like they're singing, right? And they love to make yo no pude hacer nada, yo no vi nada, no hice nada, always yo. I'm like, what's yo? You guys should say yo, I mean, it's with a Y, you know. Have you seen that before, Salvador? Do they use Y, or do they use jo or yo or jo in Honduras?
Yo.
Joe, really? So I would have the same problem. I would say yo, and people would be like, yo, this guy es un extraño, no sabe nada.
No, well, um, because uh, a Spanish country or Spanish speaker country are a lot have a different kind of or pronunciation for example, Argentinians or Uruguayans say yo or Chavez, something like that.
Chavez, really?
Chavez, yes.
Isn't that a last name? Like
No,
Cesar
something like
Chavez.
that.
Yeah.
They all would say like something like Italian. ¿Y yo qué puedo hacer? ¿Qué querés que yo te diga? Cosas de esa, or something like that. That is
Yeah.
the way they sound.
No, I love Central American Spanish. I mean, especially Mexican Spanish, I think, because it's the one that you hear everywhere here, right? And it's now I think they're starting to teach it in schools. They're teaching more the Mexican Spanish, Mexican Central American Spanish. Definitely none of the Argentinian Spanish. We don't use vos or any of that, none of those words. It's
But in Central America, sorry, Farhan,
yeah,
in
yeah.
Central America, we use both.
Oh
Um,
man, you guys are so confusing.
well, we don't use two. Two is like is more Mexicans or uh, it is the same. You are talking about the second person,
Uh-huh.
but we say boss. But in Honduras, we use boss when you feel comfortable with someone, when you
Uh-huh.
feel confidence. Uh, Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If, for example, if I feel you are my friend, I will call you, hey vos, ¿cómo estás? I
Uh-huh.
don't want to say, ¿y tú cómo estás?
Yeah.
If we are just a colleague, for example, or you are my teacher, I want to say, ¿cómo está usted?
Uh-huh.
But if you are my friend, I will say, ¿cómo está vos?
¿Cómo está vos? That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, and when Honduras or Central American people is traveling another country, for example, for Mexico,
Uh-huh.
they can notice where you came from because you say boss or say use another idioms
Yeah.
like money and we say pisto, for example,
Pisto. Uh-huh.
pisto, and that is money in another country. Like, I think Mexicans say um, feria or something
Feria.
like that.
Really different, right?
Yes, we have the same word and but with different meanings.
Uh-huh. And I heard one of my Dominican friends, right? My Dominican friend, he said, if you want to talk to a girl, call her a chula. I'm like, a chula? That sounds like a bad word, right? But then
No, but Shula is a girl who is pretty.
yeah, so he told me, don't even say ¿cómo estás? Say, hola chula, ¿cómo tú estás? ¿Cómo tú estás, chula? I was like,
Well,
what?
I don't know if American Dominican Republic is the same here, but if you say Shula to a girl, maybe she can feel offense because
Yeah,
you are just like saying "Hola mami, ¿cómo estás?" Something like that.
yeah. Something a little more rude, right?
There's more
It's more rude. It's not disrespectful. I mean, it's not respectful. It's disrespectful. But he said, don't worry about it, man. When people see you, they don't know if you speak Spanish. They just say, "Hola, chula, ¿cómo tú estás?" Like, and then just see the reaction. What does this girl do to you after that? But I was never brave. I know a few Dominican girls, but I don't want to make them angry with me. So
Now, if you know that girl before, or you can say, "Hi, chula, ¿cómo estás?" or "Hola, chula, ¿cómo estás?" There
yeah,
is
can you
no
say can
fear
you
for
say like hoy me pareces una chula or hoy me pareces muy chula? Can you say that or is
in
that not
Spanish.
gonna work? Yeah, in Spanish, like you look very hot today to me.
Te ves muy
The,
chula hoy.
eres muy chula hoy. Okay. No, you
Te
can't
ves,
say
te ves.
te ves muy chula hoy. Te ves muy chula hoy. But you can't say me pareces chula hoy or that sounds kind of formal, right?
No, no, no. Me parece chula hoy. Sí, you can say that.
Uh-huh.
Well, Well, there is a lot of way you can use chula,
Uh-huh.
and for example, for Central American or Mexican means prairie.
Pretty girl, yeah.
Yes,
And
but
then
you,
I was, oh, go
for
ahead, go ahead.
example, but
Yeah.
if you say chulo in the male form,
Uh-huh.
well, I don't know if it here is the same than in Mexico, but chulo is a person who have a group of prostitute, and he is the guy
Ah,
who is receiving the money
yeah, he's
or
the
sending
pimp.
the girl with.
He's the pimp.
Yes, he's the pimp in English, but in Spanish,
Uh-huh.
él es el chulo. Well,
Uh,
so that is different.
and it's much
Mm,
more disrespectful, I think, right?
yes, but when you are talking to a girl, you can say chula,
Chula, yeah, yeah. Interesting. In
unless
some
for
of,
American Central.
yeah, in the Indian languages, one of the Indian languages that I know, chula means chula significa estufa, what you cook on. So when I first learned it, I thought, wow, chula, like hot, like como no estufa, es muy caliente. It's like so it was very funny for me to figure that out. But in any case, Salvador. So let's look at some of these words. I'm going to just label the words, or I'm going to write down the words here, and I want to see if you have any questions with them, right? So I'll give you two words, right? Let's say this is the first one.
Union.
Union. Fantastic, fantastic. And the second one is
Sorry, I have a
yeah.
question.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Can you repeat the word union?
Union.
Union or
Union.
union?
Uh-huh. Union.
Can you notice the two different ways I am saying union and union?
Ah, the first one you have the second one you had a J a little bit at the beginning, right?
Yes,
Junion or
union.
Union.
What is the correct form? Union or union?
It's the first form. The first form is correct.
Union.
Union.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Now that's good, good, good. And then what about this word right here?
Evaluate.
Uh-huh. So try the second syllable one more time, Salvador, the one with that invisible Y. Actually, in this example, it's the third syllable.
Evaluate.
Yeah, way better that time, Salvador. Evaluate, right?
Evaluate.
Evaluate. Uh-huh, exactly. So if I write it, the transliteration, evaluate. Oops, I'm sorry. Eval, and then you eight. Yeah, evaluate.
Evaluate.
Evaluate, yeah. Muy bien hecho, Salvador. Muy bien hecho.
Thank you.
De nada. So let us see a little bit of time. We have a little bit of time. I want to see this discussion article, Salvador. And we are going to be reading about the Olympic torch that is in outer space, right? I'm going to spend maybe 3 minutes reading it, and then we will jump back to the pronunciation. So here we go. The Olympic torch is in outer space. Russia has, successfully taken this torch to outer space, and they will be using it. They'll be walking around, or they took it to space. They did a spacewalk with the torch, and they will. It, I think, already has returned to Earth. So every 4 years, the Olympic torch travels the globe. It is a tradition for runners to carry the torch from Olympia, Greece, to wherever each winter or summer Olympic Games is taking place. Olympic torches have been taken to some extraordinary places. A few have even traveled to space. And the 2014 Winter Games torch just became the first to venture into open outer space, outside a spacecraft. Right? So this, you can see a picture here of an astronaut holding this Olympic torch, right? This is the torch, and this is the first time that they have taken the torch outside into outer space, into a spacewalk, where it was in the hands of somebody out in space. On November 9, cosmonauts, Russian astronauts Oleg, Kotov, and Sergey Ryazanskiy took the red and silver torch with them on a 6-hour spacewalk outside the International Space Station, 260 miles above Earth, right? So then the space relay They said traditionally the torch is kept lit during its travels, but lighting a fire inside a spacecraft would use up the space station's air supply, so the torch was not lit in space, right? So they took this out. They were walking on it for 6 hours. They walked with the space, with the uh, with the actual torch in outer space, and then they passed it back and forth to each other. Um, and then eventually it was handed back to the people when they were on their way back. So that's that, Salvador. I wanted to quickly see. So, what's your reaction to this article, actually, Salvador? Do you think it's cool that they have this ability to walk the spacecraft outside space? My friends are back now, so you can see everyone in the car. We're gonna start moving soon. It's gonna be
Hola a
crazy, man.
todos.
We might lose the internet actually. So,
No.
so what do you think, Salvador? What's your reaction to this article that they're taking this thing outside and they're walking with it?
Well, that is a new form, I think, that live in the Olympics.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I mean, do you think it's a question of national pride for Russia, or are they just doing this to look cool? I mean, what do you think the reason is behind it, why they're doing this?
Well, I don't know. Maybe just wanted to be part of that and trying to um, impress all the people here in the earth.
Uh-huh. Absolutely, right. They want to impress people who are maybe on the ground, right? And I think what they wanted to do specifically was because this is the first time that they are doing a space walk with the torch, they wanted to show like the United States and countries that have space programs that, look, we're better than you guys are because we can actually walk this thing in space, right? Whereas before nobody ever did that. Uh, are people in Honduras, are they excited about the Winter Olympics?
About the winter, no,
Not
just
so
in
much, right?
summer.
Yeah. So the summer one's going to be in Brazil, I think, in 2014 or something. I'm not exactly sure. Um, yeah, it's going to be in Brazil. No, 2016 in Brazil because 2014 is the World Cup. I think both of those are going to be very popular in Honduras, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny. And what about, I mean, do people follow skiing or any of those winter sports over there? Probably not, right?
No, no. And, in here, a lot of people don't even know the snow, so
Yeah, you've never seen the snow before, right?
no.
It's cold.
Uh-huh. Yeah, my friend is saying it's very cold, in case if you were wondering. But yeah, so that's awesome, Salvador. I wanted to just quickly recap. The article was very short. There was really nothing to it. But when we look at the words that have the invisible Y, did you have any questions about how those words are formed? We have those rules that we looked at. So if it's U that is following, for example, um, if it's a U that comes after the letter L or the letter N, usually we have these examples where it has an invisible Y, right? Also, all those lists of letters. I think the most common one that we see that people make mistakes on is that EAU construction, right? Because when you see that EAU construction, it's beautiful bureaucracy. We saw those words that have that difference in pronunciation with that invisible Y. So. Any other questions about any of that, Salvador? I wanted to leave you with some time.
No, I think that I have to practice a little bit just to perfect.
Yeah. Did you take any other pronunciation classes before on Colingo, or
No,
was it
this is my first one,
this is the first one? Yeah.
and I think that I need a lot because sometimes I don't know the way how to pronunciation of the
Uh-huh.
word of some words.
Sure, sure. No, absolutely. Let me know because this is my first time as well. So any feedback that you provide is going to be very helpful for me.
No, just
So
with the U.
yeah, just the IU, right? Uh-huh.
IU.
Fantastic. Well, awesome, Salvador. I have another class starting in just a few minutes if you want to join for that. Hopefully my internet stays strong. Um, Otherwise, yeah, I'll catch you around soon.
Okay, bye bye, Farhan.
Yep, take care. Group candidate.
And we have a third party this time, or big party that we call PAC. PAC. Let me try to write it down.
Sure.
PAC. That is Partido Anti Anticorrupción.
The
That
party of
is
anti, the party of anti-corruption, I guess.
yes. That is a party who is lead by journalists.
Uh-huh.
So that is my candidate. Do you know? I am tired of the same um, politicians that we have.
Yeah, the same politicians that are just, doing the same amount of, I mean, it's really like sad, right? When you see that the country, the progress is not happening, even though there are so many, these people like Manuel Zelaya and his family, like the politicians and the political power is just almost like always in the hands of these few people. They have all the money, they have all the strength, they have all the power, right? And nothing is reaching the people, And in India, you can see the same situation. We have one family, we have, two or three huge family dynasties. They're like royalty, like
No?
they're treated like kings. They're not really considered to be normal citizens. If they need anything, they get it first. If they So it should be interesting then. Do you think they're going to have the results by the end of the week, or will it be sooner? Do you know?
Well, there's an organization that we call Tribunal Superior Electoral,
Mm-hmm.
and according to them, we will have results for about 8 or 7 p.m. The first result.
Oh, really? So just later tonight.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So
That should be great.
yes, I hope that everything um, is going in peace. You know, it's in here in Honduras for the State Cup was a I don't know how to say, but difficult times
Mm-hmm.
because politics sometimes is a passion for the people,
Mm-hmm.
so have to be with careful or handle with careful everything just to be uh, right and be okay.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Honduran politics are, I mean, I know very little about Central America, so this might sound very ignorant, but I think there used to be violent elections in the past, where the military sometimes came in or the police came in, and it wasn't elections were not really a demonstration of democracy.
Uh,
They became a demonstration of just power, force. Who has the bigger guns? Who has the bigger weapon to stop the other candidate? Um, and if we have passed that time in history, if we can actually say, yes, we are now peacefully electing our politicians, that's a big step forward for the country.
yes, the problem right now is, Farhan, let me try to explain.
Sure.
We have two big parties.
Uh-huh. Parties, exactly.
Uh,
Partidos, right?
yes, we have
Partidos, huh?
two big parties, and one of them was the party of Mel Zelaya, that was the president.
Uh-huh.
And when the State Cup happened, that party has divided. Um, People who be agree with Zelaya and others don't like Zelaya. So that put a lot of pressure on the country, social pressure on the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the other force, the Partido Nacional. Um, but it is the actual party of the government. He had the officially,
Mm-hmm.
and they are trying to reach again the president with other candidates
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Candidates.
candidates
Candidates. Uh-huh.
that have a lot of um, corruption advice or something like that. I don't know how to say it, but
Uh-huh. Corruption. You can say corruption. Yeah.
okay. According to the people, he is a corrupt candidate, and so
He's not in the race.
no, in Honduras, a president period is just for 4 years, and he
And
has. Do you remember the? I don't know how to say golpe de estado, but it was a
golpe de estado. Yeah, the coup, the state coup. Uh-huh.
state coup. Well, that was
Uh-huh.
a, a complicated time for the country. So he was the president,
Mm-hmm.
and now his wife is trying to reach the president.
Mm-hmm.
Want to be a president.
So most people probably don't like her, right?
That's right.
Yeah. It's always funny for me, Salvador.
Bless you.
Excuse me. It's
Bless you.
always funny for me when I see, Salvador, that these family members in a lot of these societies, the family members really strive to be the leader. Like I think in Argentina, they've had two presidents and they've had two wives of presidents become president also. You know, something family politics is. I'm sure it exists in most countries of the world, but I've noticed like the popularity in Latin America especially, and also in India, I've seen a lot of, family related kind of governments that have come to power. So it's kind of frustrating for me, I see, because it just you're limiting the power, right? The power is still in the hands of the very strong, very wealthy families, and it's not getting distributed to the general population, other good candidates, for example.
Yes, that's right.
Hey, Salvador, how's it going, man?
Hi, Farhan, how are you?
Good, good. I'm in a car right now. Getting internet was kind of hellish. Google Hangouts was being very difficult. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Yeah, things are great. I mean, just traveling. The sun's in my face. I might actually do this thing uh, to reduce the sun glare. But now half of my face is in the dark. Let me just do this thing, actually. It's going to be a little bit easier. But yeah, things are great. I think everything's going well. How's the weather down there?
Right now it's cloudy.
Right now it's cloudy over there.
Yes.
Here, as you can tell, it's very sunny.
Yes, I
Sun's
see.
in my face. Yeah. But any big plans this weekend, or did you do anything interesting or fun yesterday and today?
Today is presidential elections here in Honduras.
Oh, really?
Yes, and all the people is going to vote and something like that. So that is a um, great event for democracy in Honduras.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you go to vote in the morning?
Yes.
Nice, nice. And who do you think's gonna win? The guy you voted for, or I guess the person you voted for?
I hope that, but really, I don't know who can
Uh-huh.
win. It is very tight. Everything is close.
Yeah, there was a guy who was named Senor Celaya, I think, from Honduras, right?
Yes, he is the ex-president.
He's the ex-president. Okay. So is he running this time also, or is he